labeled this the SB plan, which is what we've been talking about kind of over the long term, that we need to keep people in their homes and keep neighborhoods stable and prepare people for a second chance at homeownership. I think that the paper that Ern put together is called Homeownership 2.0, so that's kind of what we need to be able to do. And I think we've already addressed some of those other issues. And we can, in the process of making sure that we have affordable housing construction and preservation in the San Joaquin Valley, look at some local tools. Specifically, we are working on developing some more local housing trusts, and we need to help the public to understand what those are. It's flexible funding that can be matched by the state, but that can really reflect local needs and local how the local community wants to shape their housing, their future housing stock, affordable housing stock. Inclusionary housing policies are also something that we don't see a lot of in the Valley. Politically, they're quite difficult, but I think that there's something that we really do need to look at, especially as we prepare for the future of as housing prices do climb. They're probably going to climb really, really slowly over the next decade, but it's a perfect opportunity to put least assistance in place for making sure that we have an equitable distribution of housing product. And then there's the other element we can look at and we should make sure that all local governments and nonprofits understand are the uses of the first-time homebuyer programs, both at the state and federal level. And then I just listed some of the arguments that folks make against inclusionary housing, since I think it's one of the most it is one of the most productive policies in terms of creating affordable housing. It's not something to be used exclusively. It should be used with other programs, but. I won't go through these just because I am running out of time. I want to touch on one other thing, but you can see that there are.
Are those quotes in the
Yes, they are quotes from their ideas presented by sort of for-profit developers, folks who are against inclusionary housing, and then rebuttals. So I can talk about that more maybe as in the general discussion. And affordable housing provides economic stimulus, and it's one of the only kinds of development that there's currently a demand for. Skip that one, Sherry. I think we've touched on it already. I just wanted to give some food for thought about regional planning, especially in the wake of SB 375. We have to do regional planning that accounts for the climate change, and that's probably going to entail developing higher density and not expanding out beyond the urban fringes. And so we're going to have a decrease in the amount of usable land. That inevitably will raise housing prices up, and I think that means we all have to be advocates to make sure that there are subsidies and there are programs out there that make sure that the housing that's created and that public city planners incorporate affordability into any plans, because high densities, especially now, not going to equal affordability. One more slide. Just some things to think about as we build regional vision for affordable homeownership. What are things that motivate regional collaboration? In my recent experience, it's been talking about resources and talking about economic development opportunities that bring people together. Daryl and I recently coordinated a downtown revitalization workshop in the Valley, and we had 50 attendants, and we only had 2 weeks of notice. People from all six counties in the Valley, and I think what brought them together was business development and the idea of creating revenue for their cities. It's much harder to bring people together to talk about long-term planning for affordable housing, because people are focused on issues of immediate importance rather than a long-term vision. So something to think about, I think, as we move forward in the